Okay, I think if we can find our seats, we'll roll into the challenge. So challenge this month was to make a picture ornament or something very similar, or a picture that looks like an ornament, or an so if you've got a challenge piece, come grab it, and everybody else sit down and listen to their stories. Thank you.
Well, for the 7 who are here, you can't zoom in on this. I had made these. I have a metal Christmas tree that we that folds out, and I can hang ornaments from it. So what I did was I took a picture of all the people in my family, and I made the thing that was demonstrated last month. Only I don't use glue. What I do is I undercut the edge, and I make the picture just slightly big, then bend the picture a little bit, slide it under the edges so it stays there. If I want to get it out, I've got a hole in the back of it that I can just punch it out and replace the picture. That's the whole thing. Who's next? Phil?
Thanks, Sean. Since it was my challenge, I figured I had to do something. So Mike had mentioned last time, can you do it on both sides? And I thought, well, there's no reason why you can't. So I made one with one on either side so I can actually get both my kids on one ornament, but not a picture of the two of them. And then Sean had told me about this whole undercutting thing. So I tried to undercut it so that I could get my photos in there and pop them back out. And when it was on the lathe, it worked perfectly. But as soon as I got it off the lathe, the photos were too small. So I just used tape. But I got to practice that. But I thought it'd be a fun way to be able to replace the photos pretty quick, too. And we'll try it again next time.
So this is my picture ornament. I have yet to put the picture in it because I'm not certain what to do with it. I haven't drilled any holes in it for the same reason, but kind of fun to put some stuff on the back of it. This is the first picture frame I ever made. It was 1979, and I don't know, I just liked this picture, and so I made a frame for it. I used the paper joint where you put a piece of paper between a waste block and your work and split it with a chisel. So it's been hanging on my wall for at least 30 years now, and I don't know where it was before that. That's it. Thank you.
I made a couple of ornaments, and pictures in there are good enough to be in a magazine. I read about it in the magazine. This is a piece of sycamore, and on the back side, I just used a router on it to make a daisy design. This was made out of a piece of walnut. Most mostly sapwood. At the top, you can see a little bit of the walnut coloring. Thank you.
This one's ash turned from a baseball bat blank. Normally you expect the iridescent paints to need a black background, but I just put it directly on the sanding sealer on the ash and it came out looking quite gold. Then I painted on top of it and I was not impressed with the effects and I would not paint it again.
By way of introduction, when you are on the Zoom meeting, you don't get all of the nuances, right? So I read the challenge and it said, if you have a picture, make an ornament. Well, I thought this is pretty ornamental. Okay, start. Going on? On? Rewind. Oh, rewind. Okay, introductory wise, this was my picture. And since I've been on Zoom meetings, you know, I don't get all the fine details of it. So I said, well, this is pretty ornamental. So anyway, just as a quickie, you can disqualify me if you want to, but this is an Ambrosia Maple piece. It is a combination of turning a square platter, making a box, and doing a hollowing. And then figuring out how to make your fingers safe from flying corners. And so the reason I chose to do, actually I did this in SolidWorks. So I created a dimension so that the cross section, I could see how much of a tool cut I could make in the groove and how much of a undercut I had to have in order to get the edges to turn down. And so that's the story. It's finished with walnut oil, just a single coat of walnut oil. So I didn't do anything about that. And then just a little ebony on top. Now the most challenging part was cutting off this lid when it's under the surface of the wood. I did that by taking a small vice grip and a little saber saw, and an hour later we got the top. So that's my story.
Timing is everything. This demo came right in time for me to get 3 or 4 Mother's Day gifts turned really quickly. The only thing I really did different from what was demonstrated, I did do the double side on this one and started to incorporate acrylic. The acrylic not only holds the picture in, but it also kind of gives it a little dimension and it gives it a real glossy look. So I like that. This is my 3 kids. This was my wife's Mother's Day gift, and it says, "Thanks, Mom." It was supposed to say "Accomplished, Mom," but when the person that was cutting out the little decal for me to use said she was getting little spindly lines because I had it so small, so we changed it to "Thanks, Mom." And on this one, it was 2 pieces of blue acrylic glued together with CA, turned on the lathe. On the backside, I tried to create a ripple effect that like a drop had dropped in the water and was rippling out. Then I got an image of a droplet to put behind it to give it just a little motion. Love the way this looks in a window with the light coming out behind it. So had a blast, and thanks, Phil, for the great ideas. These all went pretty good.
This is a multi, a lot of talent and skill to put this together. Okay, I like the two-sided ornaments. So anyway, a lot of canvas there to do wood turning stuff on, anything fancy. But like if you have two grandkids, you know, have one on one side and one on the other. Or if you want, you know, like a front and back, you have a front and the back. And so anyway, they were fun to do. What I started off with doing this, actually, this is the base here. It's like the fifth one. Just took a 1x4 piece of cherry and cut it square, drilled a hole in it for the same size as my screw chuck. And I thought that would be faster than trying to screw it onto a face plate. So I just turned it, you know, screwed it on the screw chuck. And I thought, I'll do this real fast, you know, thinking production. And so I thought I can just turn it around with the same screw chuck, you know, and everything. No, that didn't work. What happens is the threads cut in, and you'll see on this one, you have a little chip out here in the center, but that's okay because a picture or photo is going over. Anyway, so what I did was I screw chucked it on, and then I cut a tenon on the other side, you know, so a recess so I could span the chuck into it, and it worked out perfectly. So anyway, I'm also available for consultation by the hour, you know, for creating attractive displays for your I haven't got an hour and a half in this whole damn thing. Okay. They're old ones. They're black and white. I didn't have time to go dig through all the pictures or a magazine and cut out stuff. I got the circles at right size anyway, you know, and so anyway, it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Phil. I do appreciate it. And I thought I could like improve on the process, but screw chuck, it might save just a little bit instead of screwing it to a face plate, but not a lot. So anyway, that's my story.
That was an interesting idea, and I just kept on making all kinds of different sizes and designs and everything like that. Yep. Oh, okay. And then finally I ended up making pocket watches. So I guess it can be used for anything. I couldn't find any of my Gagarin types to put inside of here. So no.
Very nice, guys. A lot of variety. David, I'm letting you in, man. I'm letting you in with that thing. Picture frame off of a picture. Does everybody have a ticket? Ah, Mark. Okay, I wonder if that's Mark in the picture. Yeah, that's and a lumberjack shirt. Scuba diving in a lumberjack shirt. So it looks like he got it. Sue, did you draw one for him? All right, I need an honest person. Effie, I'm letting you be our drawer tonight.
186.
And who's got ticket 186? All right, we got a winner. We got a gift certificate for you. Thanks to all the members that participated in the challenge this month. It always makes it nice to see the variety and the ideas that pop out of a single challenge. So to carry on, let's get into the show and tell table. If you've got a show and tell project up there, step up and show it to everybody, grab the mic and let us know what you did.
This is Hickory, and I've been making these mushroom boxes for quite a while. I have almost always, been very careful to dry them before I make them. I wanted to make something for some people who were a neighbor, and then for some reason I couldn't wait, and so I turned one green. And I thought there's no way this is going to work. It's going to warp, and it'll never. So at any rate, I packed it in some paper and then a box, and 6 months later, and gave it to them. And 6 months later, went down to where they were and said, well, let's open that and see what it looks like. And it works. And I don't know why. This is the second one of these I've made. This is Hickory. I already said that maybe. But what's good about it is if you take a branch and stick it somewhere to dry, the bark, you lose the bark half the time, maybe. And I've not seen this bark even begin to loosen. And I don't know why. It worked real well. This is a box. This is the second one like this I made. This is cherry. And the thing that makes it kind of special is it's made out of one piece of wood. And I'm gonna put this down. That's where the piece of wood is. The lid you didn't cut the lid off the top, which would be normal. So, and you need a bigger piece of wood then. But this, I cut down. I cut at an angle underneath with a parting tool and popped it off, and then cut some of this away and some of that away so that it's an interesting thing. It lets you keep all of the good grain that you had on the top still visible in the box.
So this is a piece of walnut, and I got my bigger lathe about 2 years ago, and I was really excited because I had some big walnut, and I cut up a couple blanks and I put this on, and I started turning it, and I didn't see that there was this hole in it until I got into it, and I got really bummed out because I was like, oh man, I had this big piece and now I got a hole in the middle of it. So I kept turning a little bit away. The hole kept getting bigger, so I stopped and hollowed it out and put it on the shelf and just let it sit there. And probably about six months ago or so, I thought, well, I should probably just sand and finish it because it's pretty much done. And it has a really nice warp to it if you look at it. And so after I sanded it and got it all polished up, I thought, I actually really like this piece. Yeah, so that's this guy right here. I actually did submit this to the AAW. It did not get accepted, but I got another bowl from the same walnut log got accepted, and that'll be in the symposium juried show in June. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
This is essentially a similar story to the picture. It's the same deal, only this is more like making a square plate and adding to it a hollowed out center, and then obviously the box. And you'll notice the edges are not hard. Now this is not a hard thing to do, realistically. It is important to keep your hands out of harm's way. I want to make sure that. The lid for the box, though, turned out to be a combination of several projects. The hat, you might say, that's on the top is a piece of Osage orange. It's made by taking 3 hole saws, a piece of Osage orange, a big hole saw that makes the center cut, that is, gives you the round part, and two intersecting hole saws that go through and cut the form to the side. So you make essentially half of a pipe. And if you're lucky, this piece doesn't split. So, you know, I would say, well, let's make a hat out of it. So that's the story. But this is cherry. And again, it's just got one coat of walnut oil on it.
All right. I don't know how we did it, but we actually got through our meeting tonight before 9 o'clock. And it had a demo and it had, oh, we got one more. And
Okay, that's mine. This is Ann. This last month I was experimenting with adding color to the borders of my pieces. So I took this over to the library and did the engraving on this one like I've done in the past. On this one though, I engraved it really deeply and it came out looking real good. I mean, it just had real good texture to it. So I was pleased with the way that turned out. Then on the next one, I did the laser engraving again, and then this time filled that scroll pattern with inlays. So I was happy with that one. And then on the last one, it's similar to what kind of what Larry was doing, was taking the paint and adding it to the border. And this is acrylic paint that I use. That's it's pourable acrylic paint that I just poured it on the top of it, kind of tipped and turned and swirled it around. And then when it was dry, cut out the center. And I thought that looked really cool. Those are some metallic paints that I got at Hobby Lobby.
did you sell those pieces yet, Ann?
Actually, no, I did a show last weekend. I didn't take that one because I want to keep it, but no, I didn't sell those other ones yet.
I understand that anything with barbed wire on it's going to sell in Texas.
You know what? I was really surprised. I had a whole bunch of people look at it, but nobody bought it.
Oh,
So we'll
Very
see.
exciting.
Although I like doing those, so I think I'll do some more with more of the Texas, motif and see what happens.
those really look good. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of May meeting. Keep in mind, we're going to do a mini symposium on the 22nd. I'd like anybody to show up that could, so just so we can have some conversation going around. We've got the picnic coming up, and anybody that can help put chairs away and get the equipment back in place tonight be much appreciated. And thanks, Linda, again for the refreshments. Appreciate it. Thank you for your Zoom people joining in. Glad to see you.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye. I think that last one at least was walnut. She uses a lot of mesquite. She
Thanks, Kevin.
She has access to mesquite wood. Yeah, yeah. It just seems so hard.